Welcome to Classic Game Room, broadcasting from the Intergalactic Space Arcade. When somebody sends you an enormous stack of Super Famicom games, do you know what you're going to need in addition to a Vectrex? A Super Famicom. This is the Nintendo Super Famicom Review. It's stylish, it's sophisticated, and it doesn't burn your eyeballs like the horrendous styling on the American Super Nintendo. It's the Japanese Super Famicom. Family computer, that's super. What makes it so super? Because it plays front mission, among other things. It has a super colorful controller and an enormous library of awesome games. Released in 1990 in Japan, the Super Famicom, or Super Nintendo, went on to supposedly become the most successful 16-bit game console. Although as a Sega fanboy, I refuse to acknowledge that. I mean, how super can it be if it doesn't even have a 32X adapter? Well, pretty super if you take into account how many fabulous games were released on the Super Famicom. However, if you're living in the West, the big question is it worth importing one? Now, according to TJ on CGR Undertow, you can easily modify an American Super Nintendo to play Japanese imports. But that still leaves you with the god-awful blocky and purple styling on the American Super Nintendo. And you know, it wasn't until I actually saw a Super Famicom in front of me that I realized how elegant the styling really is. It's a beautiful game console with a better-looking controller. Why did they change it? Anyway, beyond the obvious styling differences, I think most of us know the Super Nintendo has an incredible software library filled with games like Super Mario World, Super Star Wars, Super Metroid, Super Mario Kart, and Ultraman. But if you're a serious Nintendo collector or looking to play a number of import games on a Super Famicom, the real thing, then this is what you're going to want. It works on US televisions at least. It's NTSC. It uses the exact same video cable, and I think it's pretty much the same power cable. It does run on US power. So you can play the original front mission, although you can also pick this game up for your Nintendo DS, but it's cool to see the real thing. The Super Famicom was obviously a very popular game system, so there's a lot of them out there, and even if you have to import one, they're not outrageously expensive. If you're super serious about your Super Nintendo or Super Famicom collecting and you want to play the original Japanese games on the original hardware, then this is the game console you're going to want. And it once again proves that Classic Game Room has the best fan base ever. So many of the games and accessories reviewed on this show would not be possible without the generous donations from viewers like Felicity in Worcestershire, England, who sent this to the show. And of course, most of you know a lot of the other names like Mohammed, Frank, Dean, Chip, and I'm working to get to all of them. I have it calculated that it may take until the year 2084. Which is good because that way I can make a deal with our new robot masters and have myself turned into a cyborg and continue. So you know what to do if you're crazy about the Japanese library on the Super Nintendo. Then I would recommend a Super Famicom. Especially if your name is Mark, because it will only work for us. So, thanks again to Felicity, and thanks to all of you for watching. If you buy one of these and it doesn't work, just change your name to Mark.